Merry Christmas. Yay, ho, ho, ho. Some people just slept on their chairs last night, not wanting to miss and have somebody take their chair. But this morning we ring our bowl, our peace bowl, for our collective hope for peace on earth, for our love of this world. And we join that bowl with all of the bells that are being rung throughout this earth on places as far away as Goa and Macau, and in tiny churches in Iowa where the snow is piling up and the wind is causing cars to be drifted off the road. How many of you have family in some of those places? I do. Sister in Iowa City, welcome. We also ring this peace bowl as we do each Sunday to remember that these lands that we love, that will soon be covered, we hope, in another blanket of snow, are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people, of the Quevkepayas, of the Tolkepayas, of the Yavapai, and the Wipukepas. Those are all names of tribes within the Yavapai that lived in certain regions that are all around us. And now we are going to think ahead to, if it snows, we may have a winter wonderland. Lena.
Good morning. Today, to help with the chalice lighting, we have Patrick Grady. Love is the aspiration, the spirit that moves and inspires this faith we share. Rightly understood, love can nurture our spirits and transform the world. May the flame of this chalice honor and embody the power and the blessing of the love we need, the love we give, the love we are challenged always to remember and share.
When we thought of gathering this Christmas morning, we wanted it to be informal, so please relax. Those of you who may have incipient headaches, there is coffee next door, and this carpet will be able to survive a little spilled coffee if we have some. But I want you to enter this world of candlelight, this world of magic, this world of memory that sometimes brings us sadness. But there is the happy scent of apple pies that will be coming through this room, cinnamon rolls, and cookies. When I was a child in a family of 7, my brothers and sisters and I woke up very early. I think it might have been right around 3, and went into my parents' bedroom, and they had probably just finished playing Santa. And I remember we would tickle my father's feet to try to wake him up. All of us would, we were kind of quiet in our own way, but we'd start singing little songs and going, and then we would jump on their bed, and they did eventually wake up. But we were always supposed to wait. Waiting was a very important part of our Christmas. And then the moment came, and my mother would get up and she'd go out into the living room and through our house and light all of the lights. And so the Christmas would happen all over our house. And then when she came back, we would line up in birth order that was very unfair since I was the second. We would go from the littlest first. And then we would take that first step into the magic. Can you feel it? This morning, we are going to listen to some of that Christmas magic from Leslie Grady. She's going to tell us a story. And as I said, if you can't wait for some of the coffee magic, it is next door, right over there.
Please join me as we hop aboard the Polar Express. I'd like to dedicate this to our granddaughters, Sylvie and Tua. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed silently and slowly. I was listening for a sound a friend had told me I'd never hear, the ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and shrieking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. It was wrapped in an apron of steam. Snowflakes fell silently around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest and then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe. I tiptoed downstairs and out the door. All aboard! The conductor cried out, and I ran up to him. Well, he said, are you coming? Where? I asked. Why, to the North Pole, of course, was his answer. This is the Polar Express. I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. Right next to the station, a bunch of carolers began to sing. It came upon a midnight clear.
Please rise in body or spirit. And does anyone need a hymn book? We're going to sing number 244. It came upon a midnight clear. Praise may be seated.
The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sang Christmas carols and ate candies in nougat centers as white as the snow. We drank hot cocoa as thick and rich as melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of towns and villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced downward. Soon there were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests where lean wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness.
Let's rise again in body or spirit, and we will sing number 241, In the Bleak Midwinter. And think of those lean wolves howling. Just- In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago, Christ, a homeless stranger, so the gospel say, cradled in a manger and a bed of hay. In the bleak midwinter, stable place of Christ. In the manger, baby, Jesus Christ. Once more, child and mother weave their magic spell, cradled in a manger and a river tell. In the bleak midwinter, in this world of pain, where our hearts are open, love is born again.
We climbed mountains so high, it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster we ran along, rolling over peaks and through valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills, the hills to snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice, the great polar ice caps. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. There, said the conductor, is the North Pole. The North Pole. It was a huge city standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. They are gathering at the center of the city, the conductor told us. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift? We all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. And while they were waiting, the carolers sang, Deck the Halls.
Number 235, Deck the Halls.
with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, la 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 la. Troll the ancient Yuletide carol, la 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 la. See the blazing Yule before us, la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, la 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 la. All are we in merry measure, la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, la 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 la. Sing we now and all together, la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, la 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 la. Look, shouted one of the children, the elves. Outside we saw hundreds of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could go no farther, we stopped and the conductor led us outside. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. The reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was a magical sound, like nothing I'd ever heard. Across the circle, the elves moved apart, and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us and, pointing to me, said, "Let's have this fellow here." He jumped into his sleigh. The conductor handed me up. I sat on Santa's knee, and he asked, "Now, what would you like for Christmas?" I knew that I could have any gift I imagined, but the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was one silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he gave me a hug and told an elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas." A clock struck midnight as the elves roared their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out the reindeers' names and cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared in the cold, dark polar sky.
Let us sing number 259. We're going to just sing the first verse. We three kings of Orient are. And if you're tired of going up and down, please feel free to stay seated. We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we've traveled so far, field and fountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. Oh, star
still proceeding, guide us through night's perfect night. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached into my pocket, but the only thing there was a hole. I had lost the silver bell that Santa gave me from Santa's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said, but the train gave a sudden lurch and started moving. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. What? I yelled out. He cupped his hands around his mouth. Merry Christmas, he shouted. The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away.
No hymn book this time. We wish you a Merry Christmas. I think you all know the words.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings to all, to you and your kin. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. Wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything had been unwrapped, Sarah found one small little box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was a silver bell. There was a note. Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket, signed Mr. C. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I had ever heard. But my mother said, "Oh, that's too bad." "Yes," said my father, "it's broken." When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard a sound. At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but as years passed, it fell silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear its sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me as it does for all who truly believe.
Let us now sing another song you know the words for, Ding Dong Merrily on High. Oh, they're in your programs. Thank God.
Ding dong merrily on high, in heaven the bells are ringing. Ding dong merrily the sky is rhythmic angels singing.
Did you hear the bell when she rang it? But sometimes we forget to hear the bell, not the bell necessarily of Christmas, but that bell that only children hear when they look out and they see magic and we see, what? So I have brought, this is a Mrs. Santa went to China and bought this bag. And she has bells in it. She gave it to me so that you can, and I think I did not expect so many people today. So we just have one per family. So if you, and if you need if you did not get a bell, I will supply one for you next week. But we'll put this around for a remembrance and to remember when we are not having fun or we're not seeing the magic that is around us. Maybe we could find that bell somewhere or have it in the back of our car so when we hit a bump, it goes cha-ching. And at the same time, we have a fabulous offertory presentation. But as you are receiving a bell, we will be having people going around collecting the offering, which this morning is for the MLK March, for a person who actually brought lots of magic and hope into this world. And now we have a special guest. It's Russ Erickson, who's going to give his wonderful rendition of an ancient ancestral story from his Swedish heritage.
Yeah, this is with apologies to Jorgi Jorgensen. He was the guy who wrote this. It was on a 78 record that I had in 63, I guess. And I ended up memorizing it for some reason and doing it over the high school PA system in 1963. So anyway, it goes like this. 'Twas the night before Christmas. It's still in the house. My family is sleeping. Sounds quiet like a mouse. I look at my watch, and midnight is near. I think I'll sneak out for a cold glass of beer. Down at the corner, the crowd is so merry. I end up by drinking about 12 Tom and Jerry's. I get to bed late, you wish how I'm sleeping. Then onto my bed, those darn kids, they come leaping. They sit on my face and they yomp on my belly, and I'm quivering all over like a bowl full of jelly. They scream Merry Christmas. My poor wife and me, we stumble downstairs and she lights up the tree. My head is exploding. My mouth tastes like a pickle. I slip on a skate and fall on a tricycle. Just before Christmas dinner, we relax to a point. Then relatives start swarming all over the joint. On Christmas, my wife and my aunt's Uncle Louis get into an argument. They're both awful screwy. And all my relations say Louis is right. And then her goofy relations, they join in the fight. And back in the corner, the radio is playing. And over the racket, Gabriel Heater is saying, peace on earth, everybody, and goodwill toward men. Just at that moment, someone slugs Uncle Ben. We all run out hooping for the neighbors to hear. Oh, I'm so glad Merry Christmas comes just once a year.
And tomorrow he's going to eat lutefisk. So I guess we'll thank you. What is given in love is received into our hearts with gratitude. Thank you all. Thank you all. And I hope, is anyone missing a bell? I think everybody got bells here. We have 4 left. Anybody want to, oh, Russ didn't get a bell. And Peter didn't get a bell. Oh, Joe got a bell. So who, this is a difficult question for a Unitarian Universalist. Who believes in magic? Before we extinguish our chalice and go and experience the beauty that is waiting for us next door, let us articulate the blessing of that food and this day in a meditation and prayer. Please join me in that time. Spirit of life, we are full of gratitude for the sound of bells, for the love that has grown in this community over many, many years, and for some just today. We're grateful for this story. We're grateful for these opportunities to gather and to enjoy. We ask for blessings on the wonderful food that is waiting for us, the apple pie that was nourished by the sun and by the hands of the laborers who picked those apples, and then finally Barb Nye's amazing magic as she created those pies. We're thankful for all of these things. Amen. Amen. And now we will extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we gather together again. And next week, I believe, is a brunch. So we're doing what I think we all need a little bit after some years of separation. We're going to have a lot of fun together for a while. So let us go in peace next door. And I hope that if you have a hole in your pocket that is letting that bell slip away, come and see me. I have thread and needle in my office. And I'm an expert seamstress. I can help you. I can help you make that pocket whole. And now for coffee and cinnamon rolls, and we have gluten-free chocolate chip cookies and not gluten-free chocolate chip cookies and amazing Barb Nye's pies. Let us go enjoy. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.